Hey Flo here. I got up just in time to see the sunset, just barely. I wasn't even sure I'd make it up this far. So let me try to do a Bible reading real quick. Probably the sun will go down before I finish, but that's alright. So, let's see. We're going to be reading 1 Chronicles 26 to 27, Psalm 127, and 1 Corinthians chapter 8. Let's get into it first. Chronicles 26. I have to add these slides later. I'm using my wide angle lens, which isn't the best quality, but I thought it looked cool. First Chronicles chapter 26. These were the divisions of the gatekeepers. From the Korahites, Meshelemiah, son of Kor, one of the sons of Asaph. Meshelemiah had sons, Zechariah the firstborn, Jediael the second, Zebediah the third, Jathniel the fourth, Elam the fifth, Jehohanan the sixth, and Eliahoenai the seventh, and Eliahoenai the seventh. And Obed-Edom also had sons, Shemaiah the firstborn, Jehozabad the second, Joah the third, Sakar the fourth, Nethanel the fifth, Amiel the sixth, Issachar the seventh, and Peullathai the eighth. For God had blessed Obed-Edom. Also to his son Shemaiah were born sons who ruled over their families, because they were strong, capable men. Shemaiah's sons were Othni, Raphael, Obed, and Elzabad. His brothers were Elihu and Shemachiah, also capable men. All these were descendants of Obed-Edom. They and their sons and brothers were capable men with strength to do the work, 62 in all from Obed-Edom. Meshelemiah also had sons and brothers who were capable men, 18 in all. Hosa the Merarite also had sons, Shimri the first, although he was not the firstborn. His father had appointed him as the first. Hilkiah the second, Tebaliah the third, and Zechariah the fourth. The sons and brothers of Hosa numbered 13 in all. These divisions of the gatekeepers, through their chief men, had duties for ministering in the house of the Lord, just as their brothers did. They cast lots for each gate, according to their families, young and old alike. The lot for the east gate fell to Shelemiah. Then lots were cast for his son Zechariah, a wise counselor, and the lot for the north gate fell to him. The lot for the south gate fell to Obed-Edom, and the lot for the storehouses to his sons. The lots for the west gate and the Shalaketh gate on the ascending highway fell to Shuppim and Hosa. There were guards stationed at every watch. Each day there were 6 Levites on the east, 4 on the north, 4 on the south, and 2 pairs at the storehouse. As for the court on the west, there were 4 at the highway and 2 on the court. These were the divisions of the gatekeepers who were descendants of Korah and Merari. Now their fellow Levites were in charge of the treasuries of the house of God and the treasuries of the dedicated things. From the descendants of Ladan, who were Gershonites through Ladan, and heads of the families of Ladan, the Gershonite, were Jehieli, the sons of Jehieli, Zatham, and his brother Joel. They were in charge of the treasuries of the house of the Lord. From the Amramites, the Izharites, the Hebronites, and the Uzzielites, Shebuel, a descendant of Gershom, son of Moses, was the officer in charge of the treasuries. His relatives through Eleazar included Rehabiah his son, Jeshiah his son, Joram his son, Zichri his son, and Shelomith his son. This Shelomith and his brothers were in charge of all the treasuries for the This Shelomith and his brothers were in charge of all the treasuries for the This Shelomith and his brothers were in charge of all the treasuries for the things dedicated by King David, by the heads of families who were the commanders of thousands and of hundreds, and by the army commanders. They had dedicated some of the plunder from their battles to the repair of the house of the Lord. Everything that had been dedicated by Samuel the seer, Saul son of Kish, Abner son of Ner, and Joab son of Zeruiah, along with everything else that was dedicated, was under the care of Shelomith and his brothers. From the Israelites, Chananiah and his sons had the outside duties as officers and judges over Israel. From the Hebronites, Hashabiah and his relatives, 1,700 capable men, had charge of the affairs of Israel west of the Jordan, for all the work of the Lord, and for the service of the king. As for the Hebronites, Jerijah was the chief of the Hebronites, according to the genealogies of his ancestors. In the 40th year of David's reign, the records were searched, and strong, capable men were found among the Hebronites at Jazer and Gilead. Among Jerijah's relatives, there were 2,700 capable men who were heads of families. King David appointed them over the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh for every matter pertaining to God and to the affairs of the king. Man, that crow or whatever it is a nuisance. Oh, it's not even a crow. It's a pretty small bird. It's very loud. Let me check to make sure the lighting still looks good here. Got a little bit darker since I started, probably. I don't know how much to adjust it. I don't want to make it too dark. That's kind of crazy. I had it probably a little bit too dark there. Whew, these are long chapters. I might not finish before it gets dark on this. First Chronicles chapter 27. This is the list of the Israelites, the heads of families, the commanders of thousands and of hundreds, and their officers who served the king in every matter concerning the divisions on rotating military duty each month throughout the year. There were 24,000 men in each division. Jashobeam, son of Zabdiel, was in charge of the first division, which was assigned the first month. There were 24,000 men in his division. He was a descendant of Perez and chief of all the army commanders for the first month. Dodai the Ohahite was in charge of the division for the second month, and Mikloth was the leader. There were 24,000 men in his division. The third army commander, as chief for the third month, was Benaiah son of Jehoiada the priest. There were 24,000 men in his division. This Benaiah was mighty among the 30, and was over the 30, and his son Amizabad was in charge of his division. The fourth for the fourth month was Joab's brother Asahel, and his son Zebediah was commander after him. There were 24,000 men in his division. The fifth for the fifth month was the commander Shamhuth the Israelite. There were 24,000 men in his division. The sixth for the sixth month was Ira son of Ikesh the Tekoite. There were 24,000 men in his division. The seventh for the seventh month was Helez the Pelonite, an Ephraimite. There were 24,000 men in his division. The eighth for the eighth month was Sibbecai the Hushathite, a Zerahite. There were 24,000 men in his division. The ninth for the ninth month was Abiezer the Anathothite, a Benjamite. There were 24,000 men in his division. The 10th for the 10th month was Maharai the Netophathite, a Zerahite. There were 24,000 men in his division. The 11th for the 11th month was Benaiah the Pirathonite, an Ephraimite. There were 24,000 men in his division. The 12th for the 12th month was Heldai the Netophathite, from the family of Othniel. There were 24,000 men in his division. These officers were in charge of the tribes of Israel. Over the Reubenites was Eleazar son of Zichri. Over the Simeonites was Shephatiah son of Makkah. Over Levi was Hashabiah son of Kemuel. Over Aaron was Zadok. Over Judah was Elihu, one of David's brothers. Over Issachar was Omri son of Michael. Over Zebulun was Ishmaiah son of Obadiah. Over Naphtali was Jeremoth son of Azriel. Over the Ephraimites was Hoshea son of Azaziah. Over one of the half-tribes of Manasseh was Joel son of Pedaiah. Over the half-tribe of Manasseh and Gilead was Iddo son of Zechariah. Over Benjamin was Jaziel son of Abner. And over Dan was Azarel son of Jehoram. And over Dan was Azarel son of Joraham. These were the leaders of the tribes of Israel. David did not count the men aged 20 or under, because the Lord had said that he would make Israel as numerous as the stars of the sky. Joab son of Zeruiah began to count the men, but did not finish. For because of this census, wrath came upon Israel, and the number was not entered in the book of the Chronicles of King David. Asmaveth son of Adiel was in charge of the royal storehouses. Jonathan son of Uzziah was in charge of the storehouses in the country, in the cities, in the villages, and in the fortresses. Ezrai son of Chelub was in charge of the workers in the fields who tilled the soil. Shimei the Ramathite was in charge of the vineyards. Zabdi the Shuphmite was in charge of the produce of the vineyards for the wine vats. Baal-Hanan the Gederite was in charge of the olive and sycamore trees in the foothills. Joash was in charge of the stores of olive oil. Shitrai the Sharonite was in charge of the herds grazing in Sharon. Shaphat son of Adlai was in charge of the herds in the valleys. Obil the Ishmaelite was in charge of the camels. Jediah the Meronothite was in charge of the donkeys. Jaziz the Hagrite was in charge of the flocks. All these officials were in charge of King David's property. David's uncle Jonathan was a counselor. He was a man of insight and a scribe. Jehiel son of Hachmoni attended to the sons of the king. Ahitophel was the king's counselor. Hushai the Archite was the king's friend. Ahitophel was succeeded by Jehoiada son of Benaiah, then by Abiathar. Joab was the commander of the king's army. All right, Psalm 127. Might get through this after all. Psalm chapter 127, a song of ascents of Solomon. Unless the Lord builds the house, its builders labor in vain. Unless the Lord protects the city, its watchmen stand guard in vain. In vain you rise early and stay up late, toiling for bread to eat, for he gives sleep to his beloved. Children are indeed a heritage from the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior, so are children born in one's youth. Blessed is the man whose quiver is full of them. He will not be put to shame when he confronts the enemies at the gate. All right, the sun's about to go down. Might just, don't have my camera to get a picture of that real quick before it's too late. What? Battery? What? Oh, I don't know what that was. Nice colors, but there's not really any clouds to shine on, unfortunately. All right, what's the last one? It's 1 Corinthians chapter 8. You have to get down quick, too, before it gets dark. Otherwise, it'll be kind of challenging. I might be able to go straight down this hill, but it might kind of drop off too quickly. I don't know. I'll probably go over there somewhere. There's a trail I could find, too, but that would be a couple extra miles. Chapter 8. Okay. 1 Corinthians chapter 8. Now about food sacrificed to idols. We know that we all have knowledge. Knowledge puffs up, but love builds up. The one who thinks he knows something does not yet know as he ought to know. But the one who loves God is known by God. So about eating food sacrificed to idols. We know that an idol is nothing at all in the world, and that there is no God but one. For even if there are so-called gods, whether in heaven or on earth, as there are many so-called gods and lords, yet for us there is but one God, the Father, from whom all things came and for whom we exist. And there is but one Lord, Jesus Christ, through whom all things came and through whom we exist. But not everyone has this knowledge. Some people are still so accustomed to idols that they eat such food as if it were sacrificed to an idol. And since their conscience is weak, it is defiled. But food does not bring us closer to God. We are no worse if we do not eat, and no better if we do. Be careful, however, that your freedom does not become a stumbling block to the weak. For if someone with a weak conscience sees you who are well informed, eating in an idol's temple, will he not be encouraged to eat food sacrificed to idols? So this weak brother, for whom Christ died, is destroyed by your knowledge. By sinning against your brothers in this way and wounding their weak conscience, you sin against Christ. Therefore, if what I eat causes my brother to stumble, I will never eat meat again, so that I will not cause him to stumble. All right, pretty short chapter. Just in time to get to see the sunset finish. Get a couple more pictures and then I need to quickly get on my way back down, otherwise I will run out of light. I have a headlamp, so it's not the end of the world, but it's safer to try to get down. Well, it's still some light. Alright, well that was fun. I got in more readings than I thought. I mean, I don't know. I always have high hopes that are unrealistic, but then when I face reality, I set a new expectation, which is sometimes lower, and then I exceed it, and then I'm happy with my ability to do more. Kind of a juggling act of whatever, just psychology, I guess. Check the exposure just to make sure No, it's getting dark again. Oh well, that's fine. There's not much I can do about it when it's like this. I can't get the full contrast well, but that's alright. Anyway, I'm going to head out. Let me do a quick 1x with my better lens just to make sure I capture it in its highest potential. So yeah, I'm going to head straight down, and I'm hoping, sort of planning, I don't really plan anything, but as close as planning is for me, I'm hoping to get out again tomorrow because it's the last I don't know if it's the last nice day of the season. I should stop saying that because you've heard me say that several times. I never really know when the final last day will be. But there is some forecasted snow later this week, and so once that happens, it's often downhill and kind of wintry from that point on. So I'm seeing these couple really nice days. I wanted to take advantage of it since it might be my last for a while, and then I need to really focus on the tasks at hand in my life. So anyway, I'll upload these tonight or tomorrow or whenever I get the chance. But thanks for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed the scenery and the Bible readings, and I will catch you next time.